Hey, what's up, DIYers? Mike Borders with the Mike Borders channel. Thank you for watching. We are working on our GE laundry center, and unfortunately, our dryer is leaving black marks on our clothes and towels and more. And it's time to get the felt pad replaced, and we're going to show you the proper and safe way on how to do that in this video. Let's get started. DIYers, as we make our way to where the laundry center is, hey, in the event that you have ever been interested in an interior, not exterior, however, an interior clothesline, definitely check out the link down below. We'll also have a link on where to purchase it. And it is retractable, and it has two. We only have one out right now. However, right here inside there is our laundry center. Let's go and open it up and start the project. And we did just that. As you see, here is our GE laundry center, washer on bottom, dryer on top. Step number one, always safety first. Go ahead and carefully disconnect the power cord from the electrical connection in the wall or outlet. Again, safety purposes, cut all electrical power to the system prior to servicing it. Power cord disconnected, and as you do that, just be careful. Don't yank it in an offset manner and bend it, and carefully set it down where it's not going to be harmed during the remainder of the project. And from here, we are going to come down, and we have two screws, one on the left-hand side right there, and one on the right. We are going to carefully unscrew and remove those, and we are going to allow that lower panel right there in between the dryer and washer to be removed. Camera now position referencing the left hand side screw, and carefully unscrew and remove it, and don't lose it. Set it in a safe location. The screws are about 1 inch long. Now to the right hand screw. From here we are going to carefully lower this down and remove it. And you've got two little tabs, one on each side. You just shift it down and pull it out. Take a step back before we continue and remove additional hardware and panels. A close-up view of the electrical wiring and motherboard. And inside there, the hot and cold water line connections, and the dryer duct in our case feeds down and out as shown there. And coming up to, again, the dryer and lower control panel. In our case, on either side, both left and right, we have two screws. We are going to carefully remove those. 1, 2. Starting with the left side, and do not strip these screws, and stay organized. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to organize or place these screws in a way when it comes time to putting everything back together, I put the same screws back in the same holes. Now to the left side. Take a step back, we are going to carefully open up the dryer door, and inside here in our case, two additional Phillips screws. We are going to carefully remove those. Another step back, and before we actually remove that control panel, I want to show you down below. There is no hardware that secures this panel on the bottom side, just little tabs, as you see here, that loop in and grab a hold of the aluminum frame. Be mindful as you remove this, don't break those. Next, I'm going to place my hand right here. In DIYers, you do have the choice of removing the dryer handle or knob before removing the hardware. However, just grab a hold of it and pull it off, as shown there. You don't actually have to remove the washer knob. From here, I'm going to come to the back side where we remove the screws and pull out, and simultaneously push up and try to remove this panel from the lower tabs. As you see there, let it carefully lower and maneuver it in a way where you can remove it from the little slots. Inside here you have electrical connections, and if we just carefully rest it down without allowing too much harm or weight on the electrical wiring, we won't actually have to remove any of the connections. And again, just shift it in a way where there is little to no weight on the connection and wiring. From here, I'm going to carefully close the door. And we are now going to remove the two top Phillips screws as shown here, as well as down below the additional 1/4 inch screws. And DIYers, these are about 3 inches long. Now to the right side. Back to the 1/4 inch bit on the screwdriver, and again, remove the two lower 1/4 inch screws. And these are much smaller. Now to the right side. Coming back up top, and again, 5 screws, and in our case the black ones do have a Phillip cut to them, however a 1/4 inch head, just like the aluminum ones. Go ahead and carefully remove all 5 of those, and I've transitioned to the 1/4 inch as shown here. Got the camera positioned. We are now going to shift this entire front dryer panel and door up and away from the shell or housing of the dryer. And on the back side in this location, we have 3 electrical connections. And as you pull this panel out, just be mindful not to damage those wires. I'm going to grab hold of it right here and shift up on either side. And carefully lower it and lock it in place with your body. And here are the 3 connections, 1 and then 2 on the right hand side. Let me scroll in. As you see right here, I'm going to start with this one and push in on the back side and remove it. As shown there, same thing. Inside here, there is a compression tab. Push it and carefully pull the 2 apart. Do not pull it by the wiring. That would not be good. There's number 2 and number 3. 1, 2, and 3 from here. Ever so carefully pull the entire panel away from the dryer and laundry center. With the entire front dryer panel removed, there's the dryer drum and a quick view of the 3 electrical connections, 1 on the left and the 2 on the right hand side. Panel now fully removed from the laundry center. As you see here, personal preference to protect the face or front portion of the panel and paint. Lay it on something soft. Coming down to the floor and a close-up view of the felt pad that we are going to be removing. And on the right-hand side, it does fold over in a way. And for the most part, it's not that bad. Condition-wise, it's not completely torn apart or parts missing. And up top here, a little worried about that area because a lot of friction on those little plates, and that will cause black marks on clothes. Not good. Let's go and remove that old felt pad. Camera now in position, and we are going to begin removing the old felt pad. And on the left hand side, you can see it is loose, and then it is secured in with several plastic tabs. DIYers, very important. Do not break or crack any of those tabs because the brand new felt pad needs those tabs to be secured in place in its slot. However, on the right hand side, the felt pad loops in and down and is zip tied in place. However, not to the actual panel, just basically looped over like this and zip tied together. I'll show you that here shortly. So what I'm going to do is pinch in and pull carefully. Again, do not damage or break these tabs, and just remove the old felt pad. And none of these tabs were securing the felt pad in place, and that makes sense why it was causing issues. However, getting to this side again, it is zip tied down below. I'm going to use a screwdriver just to maneuver it up and out. And what I did there was just carefully pull up on this side of the panel and expanded the gap that this felt pad slides through. Don't damage or crack the inner brace. Next, what I did was shifted the entire panel further away from the wall for better clearance. I do want to show you a few important things. The old felt pad slid right in that little slot right there, and by gently and carefully shifting this brace down, I was able to shift the felt pad out of its slot. In addition, electrical wiring. You've got a tab here, and it is supposed to move like that. You ever so carefully shift it out, and you can pull the electrical wiring and felt pad out, and the felt pad itself loops around the other one right here. As you see right inside there, I'm going to shift this out, and I'm going to pull both the electrical wiring and the old felt pad. And that zip tie is not secured to the actual frame. Camera now positioned, looking directly in that spot I just showed you, and we are going to ever so carefully again shift these tabs back and remove the wiring and the felt pad. I'll start by compressing these 2 little prongs and shifting it through. And I've got one more down here. Carefully compress those and shift that through. And sorry the camera moved. However, the wiring is now free. And again, I'm going to push on this prong carefully without damaging it, and I'm going to shift the wire out. And as you see, that is loose. I'm going to continue back. And take note where the electrical wiring is. It's right inside this bottom tab. Electrical wiring is now released, and I'm going to begin removing the felt. And DIYers, again, it is extremely important not to damage or break these plastic tabs. They are extremely important. And to the back side, all I should have to do is push this down and loop it around. And from here, I'm going to cut that zip tie. And that is going to allow me to pull this part of the felt back. That again loops around this back tab, and I can begin removing it. And as you saw, it was easier for me to just pull that old felt pad through this section that it was locked around with this tab right here to pull it free. Now to a close-up view, you can see the rounded portion of that tab down below. And again, that is what the felt pad wrapped around, as shown right there. It wrapped around that little bottom rounded tab right in there, and then to the back side, and was zip tied in between. Taking a step back and one last view of the old removed and needing to be replaced felt pad, let's go grab the new one and open it up and install it. Now to the brand new OEM part, here is the brand new replacement felt pad. Down below in the comments and description will be a link on where to purchase this. We will open that here shortly. All right, DIYers, hey, real quick, that's a dryer belt, and down below in the comments and description will be a link on not only where to purchase it, but how to replace it. When you're doing your felt pad, replace your belt as well. Let's go ahead and open up the brand new felt pad. New felt pad removed from the packaging, and I've got a brand new zip tie and the cutting tool. Down below in the comments and description will be links for those as well. And we are going to reinstall everything. Camera now in position, and I carefully folded about 4 inches as shown there and pinched it to make a crease. And that is the part that is going to loop around that bottom loop in there. And I'm going to come inside here and just carefully shift it all the way back. And it is around. I will do this side as well. And I'll hold it there, and I need to zip tie it in place. And as far as the size of the zip tie, it might be tricky to use a small one. We may grab a larger one. And we did just that, grab the larger one. And carefully pull it tight and zip tie it in place. Followed by cutting it. Followed by feeding the wires through. And again, the electrical tape fed right through that little mount. Making progress, just ensure that you re-secure the electrical wiring prongs there and properly route the wiring through right there, and a close-up view of it coming through as you see. And I'll probably vacuum the loose phrase up, coming inside here where it is zip tied, and again routed. We are now going to route the remaining felt pad all the way around. And I'm starting up at the top. And I can tell this is much more firm as it loops around these little tabs and locks in place. And what I like to do is come in at an angle and bottom in first and loop it underneath the hook. And just go all the way back around and ensure that it is properly placed in all of the locking tabs. Coming in from above, and again, it is properly routed all the way around, much more firmer. And this bottom side right here, again, was not even touching. It basically had shrunk and disintegrated to a size that the tabs could no longer hold it in place. And that's where problems occur. We're back at the Laundry Center DIYers. This is a unique step because again, you have to re-secure the entire front panel and you've got those 3 electrical connection points. However, earlier in the project when we removed the electrical connections from each other and pulled the entire panel off, at no point did we remove this bottom panel or inner aluminum panel, and to hold it in place, it's just 2 1/4-inch screws on the bottom. And basically, by keeping this in place, it will likely require us to connect the 3 electrical connections before we shift that panel up and into place on the upper locks. However, that will restrict you depending on your exact manufacturer model, whether you have a Frigidaire, GE, Samsung. Again, you may not have the clearance once you are connected to fully shift the panel up and lock it on the top locks, as well as insert it in these little tabs here or slots. To a different camera angle, I am going to remove this panel. Camera now positioned directly at the dryer drum, and time to carefully reinsert and secure the front panel and door. And secure the screws. Taking a step back, DIYers, that takes patience. Just don't damage anything. And most important thing, the top part is looped as shown here over the aluminum panel, and the side hooks are grabbing a hold of the panel, and then you've got lower prongs down here on either side. It's in place, however, time to re-secure the hardware. We will start up top with 5 screws. Starting with the far left, and just be careful, ensure that the holes are properly aligned and do not over tighten these. And I'll go all the way to this side, to the middle. Coming down from the top 5 screws are properly secured. The next 2 screws we secured were the long screws, and you may need to come in under and around to the back side and properly guide this long screw to the inner aluminum hole where it secures to. Again, one on each side. From here, I am going to re-secure all 3 electrical connections and ensure they are locked in place as shown here. And all 3 are locked in place. We can then tuck these away and re-secure that lower panel that we removed to gain better access to the wiring. And we've got this electrical connection point, and during the project, believe it or not, our connection point came disconnected. Just double check the overall condition of it, re-secure it, and this part goes through that little prong here. Be careful as you do that. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4 prongs or hooks go inside their respective slots. And if all looks good, you can carefully shift this up and monitor the wiring and connection points as you do that. We are going to carefully open the door and secure it. As shown there, again, 2 screws in here and 2 screws on each side, both right and left on the outer sides. And DIYers, don't forget the lower corner screws that secure the lower portion of this panel in place, as you see right there. Taking a step back before we secure the lower panel, grab your dryer selector knob and position it, the line, at the off, and take note of the shape of it. As shown there, coming in with the lower panel. And it's a good time to check one last time all electrical connections and wiring are properly secured and not damaged or pinched. And shift this up into its slot on each side, as shown there, and secure it with each of the screws. I will hand tighten them first. Do not overtake these. Now let's step back, and DIR is a very important step. Just double check everything before you re-secure power and run a test cycle. And as you can see, the power cord reconnected, and we've got an additional power cord. And I want to show you what that is. Right there. DIRs, there it is. And down below in the comments and description will be a link on how to hang a neon sign. And that is a gift from my younger brother Miles. We love it. And again, DIRs, that's it. We hope this helps. Do us a favor below the video. You will see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely ring your YouTube bell. That would be very helpful to us. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching.